Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs. I am Zach, and recently the full trailer dropped for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my initial reaction to the trailer, some of the things I'm excited about going into the film, and as well as some of the things I'm a little bit more skeptical about. So, did I enjoy the trailer? Well, it was visually gorgeous. There are a lot of excellent shots featured throughout. One thing the sequel trilogy hasn't lacked is beautiful cinematography. The score backing the trailer is also incredible, packing just a taste of what will be John Williams' last work on Star Wars. All in all, yes, the trailer was good as far as trailers go, but I hold Star Wars trailers to a higher standard. And this trailer just didn't excite me in the way that The Force Awakens or Rogue One trailers did. We'll get to why this is in a little bit, but I want to stay positive for this portion of the video. To start off the list of things I'm excited about is Kylo Ren. Every single shot of him in this trailer is interesting, and I think he's by far the best character to come out of the sequel trilogy. Realistically, I can probably predict in general terms how this film is going to end. But one of the uncertain variables is the fate of Kylo Ren. Will he live or will he die? And more importantly, will he find redemption or not? We see him battling Rey on the stormy planet, but the shot that I find fascinating is when they destroy the pillar together. Rey is holding some sort of dagger, and their stances immediately following the destruction of the pillar don't appear to be hostile. So that's something to think about. Perhaps they work together to stop Palpatine. Speaking of Palpatine, on the surface, I'm thrilled that he's coming back. He was an incredible villain in both Return of the Jedi and the prequels, and I'll take as much of him as I can get. I'm curious to see just what his role in this film will be. I also want to know how the hell he's back after being thrown down the Death Star shaft minutes before it exploded. He had to have died, right? Right? Billy D. Williams is back as Lando. I don't know why they waited this long, but it's good to have him back. He's not featured too much in this trailer, but I hope he does play a decent-sized role. I'm also glad to see that C-3PO and R2 seem to be getting larger roles in this film as well. They have been disgustingly underutilized in the sequels thus far in favor of BB-8. Look, I like BB-8, but you can't beat the duo of R2 and C-3PO. You just can't. Some of the best parts of Star Wars is watching them play off of one another, and we really haven't gotten that in this trilogy. Well, that just about caps off what I'm overtly excited about from this trailer. Let's get a little negative, shall we? So I guess the big negative thing I have about this trailer is this. I don't care about Rey, like at all. She's had minimal character development, no clearly defined character arc, and she's made becoming a Jedi look easier than learning how to ride a bike. This is something you're supposed to have to train decades to get good at. Luke and Anakin were prodigies, and it even took them years to master their skills. Rey is out here lifting dozens of huge boulders a mere couple weeks after learning the Force existed. J.J. Abrams needs to give us some kind of reasonable answer as to why she's so powerful, if there even is one. I know one of the novelizations said that she downloaded her training from Kylo in The Force Awakens, but that's ridiculous. If that could be done, there'd be no need for a Jedi Academy ever. I also care very little about Finn or Poe. I liked Finn coming out of The Force Awakens, but he seemingly forgot his character arc in The Last Jedi and went back to being a coward before ultimately redoing his arc again in the same exact way. He really should have been allowed to sacrifice himself for the Resistance at the end of The Last Jedi. It would have made a fantastic ending for his character. Now it feels like he's just there. And Poe was underused in The Force Awakens and stupidly used in The Last Jedi. Not to mention that Rey, Finn, and Poe have been in the same place for all of like 30 seconds of screen time in 2 films. One of the reasons Luke, Leia, and Han were so great together was because they were together for most of the trilogy. It just feels to me like it's going to be too little too late with these main characters in The Rise of Skywalker, which obviously is a terrible problem to have. It's hard to get hyped for a Star Wars film when I don't care about any of the characters. But Zach, you may say, you said like 5 minutes ago that you were hyped about the Rogue One trailer. You didn't know jack about the characters from that film, so you couldn't have cared about them. And yes, you're absolutely right. But did you consider the Darth MFing Vader clause in your argument, hypothetical commenter? Yes, I was mostly excited about Rogue One because I love Darth Vader. He's my favorite character of all time. Lastly, as I said earlier, I was curious about Palpatine, what kind of role he would play, just how exactly would he return. While these work in the film's favor, they kind of create this mystery around it. They also act as a detriment, I feel. Basically, the root of the problem is this. There has been, to this point, absolutely no indication that Palpatine was ever going to show up in this trilogy. None, nada, zip. Ultimately, The Rise of Skywalker may very well explain this just fine, but as of right now, it just feels weird that Palpatine is suddenly back. And if you don't know anything about Star Wars, aren't you gonna just go, hey, wait a minute, that guy died? I mean, when it cheapens Anakin's sacrifice too. You know, the most pivotal character in all of Star Wars. When he threw Palpatine down that shaft, it was the perfect end to his character. He finally broke free of the shackles of the dark side and returned to the light, freeing the galaxy from the grip of an unfathomable evil in the process. But if it turns out that all he did was buy the galaxy like 30 years of time, kinda waters it down, doesn't it? Well, that's all I have to say about the Rise of Skywalker trailer. There was a lot of good in it. I'm hopeful that it will be a great movie, but at the same time, it has a lot working against it. It will have to overcome some pretty significant mistakes made by the last two movies that came before it. But if there's a hopeful message I can leave you on, it's this, and maybe you've heard it before, but maybe not. The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones were once regarded, and still are regarded by many, as massive letdowns that were riddled with problems. But then Revenge of the Sith came out, and in some ways redeemed the trilogy in a lot of people's eyes. Now maybe The Rise of Skywalker can be this trilogy's Revenge of the Sith. I'm Zach, and thanks for watching.